between Christie Brinkley and her ex-husband. NBC's Michelle Franzen has details on this. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Well, good morning, Ann. Their divorce was finalized nearly 4 years ago, but Christie Brinkley and Peter Cook still have to communicate on matters involving their children. Documents of their divorce and custody agreement are sealed by the courts, but that hasn't stopped details of their disagreements from going public, with each side now blaming the other for the leaks.
America's supermodel sweetheart, Christie Brinkley, whose iconic beauty launched her to fame in the 80s, is back in the headlines. But it isn't pretty. The story? Her bitter divorce from her fourth husband, architect Peter Cook. The former couple's ugly feud, now public again. Both have filed court documents in a battle over child support payments and what Brinkley's attorney claims are dozens of abusive emails from Cook.
The most important thing to her is that she wants to stop the bullying.
Cook's latest bullying tactic, according to Brinkley's attorney, is his insult-filled complaint filed last week, reportedly calling Brinkley a narcissistic egomaniac that made it into the tabloids. A spokesperson for Brinkley says Cook's broadside was in response to the petition she, quote, quietly filed 4 months ago to stop the intimidation and ongoing smear campaign she's been subjected to since her divorce. Brinkley's petition claims Cook owed more than $6,000 in back child support and $32,000 in school costs for their 2 children, Sailor and Jack.
Beautiful.
She is also asking a judge to fine Cook $140,000 for violations stemming from a court order that bars either from insulting the other. Cook's attorney claims Brinkley is the one who violated the court order.
Mr. Cook, in his responsive papers, is seeking over $200,000 in penalties because of Ms. Brinkley's inflammatory and pejorative communications with him.
Cook has since paid the child support. His attorney says Cook didn't think he had to pay for the months he was caring for their children while Brinkley was starring in the musical Chicago.
When he realized it was a misconception, he simply wrote the check and paid her.
The war of words is just the latest round of verbal blows between the once happy couple. At the divorce trial in 2008, Cook admitted to having an affair with his 18-year-old intern, Diana Bianchi, and spending thousands of dollars a month on internet pornography.
It was extremely insulting, especially for a woman that had built her career on her beauty and her looks. For that to happen to her, it was huge.
The very public divorce feud ended with an agreement giving Brinkley sole custody of both children. Her attorney says the 58-year-old former supermodel's main focus now is being a supermom to her children.
My client just wants it to stop. She just wants to get on with her life.
Attorneys on both sides say they hope to work out their differences outside of court, but they also seem prepared to let this latest feud go before a judge to decide. Ann.
All right, Michelle Franzen, thank you so much. Savannah Guthrie is today's legal correspondent, and David Schwartz is an attorney. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
So it seems this child support issue has now been resolved in large part, as far as we know, and it looks like this these alleged this sort of harassing emails is now at front and center. What does the law allow or not allow regarding this? Well, you want to take this, David, first?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's a court order in place. The parties could communicate, but they have to communicate civilly to each other. If there are harassing emails going back and forth, there could be criminal sanctions. There's certainly sanctions within the court order itself where both parties could be fined up to $5,000 per email.
So the legal system can legislate civility, you're saying, and should it,
especially
really?
In this case, because here you have a judge who issued an order that said if you make disparaging remarks to one another, I'm going to fine you $5,000 for each instance of it. And that's ultimately what this latest dust-up is about. She's claiming multiple instances of him saying pejorative things to her in emails or otherwise, and then he filed a counterclaim saying, well, wait a minute, you've done it too. So they're both trying to enforce the court order, but ultimately they are, airing their dirty laundry in the court of law.
So this is sort of interesting. So for anyone who's in a divorce, I mean, a lot of people send off, when they're angry with each other, they send off angry emails. So then what constitutes harassment?
Look, the court order is not meant to just protect one party. It's meant to protect both parties. You cannot use a court order as a sword. You must use it as a shield. And therefore, if there are harassing emails going back and forth to both parties, that's in violation of the court order. And a harassing email could be anything. We can only imagine what is being said in these emails.
No,
but until
what I'm asking is, you can complain to each other. What constitutes harassment?
Well, there's two different things going on here. First of all, you do have a court order that says you can't send emails that are disparaging or pejorative. That's a much lower standing. We're not talking about criminal harassment or criminal stalking. I don't think there's an allegation that it rises to this level. Here they have a court order that basically sets the bar much lower. It says if you send these kinds of nasty emails to each other, the court said, I'm going to fine you $5,000. And now both sides are trying to enforce that court order to get the judge to step in and say, that's enough. I've had it, don't do it, and perhaps fine them.
And then harassing also, we need to look at the volume of emails. Are there 20 emails going out in 5 minutes? Supposedly there are hundreds of emails, but until we see it, we don't know. There could be testimony on this, and I think the judge should rein them in.
And that's a big point about this, is that none of us has seen these emails. We haven't seen the filings. There's a seal, so it's hard to make a judgment about who's right or who's wrong. It's the judge's job. So
on this point, let's stop talking about it. All right, David Schwartz and Savannah Guthrie, thank you so much. And now let's get a check